Greetings, beautiful ones. Welcome to the Snails with No Shells podcast. I am Ms. BJ Martin. It is so nice to meet you. In this community, we are all snails with no shells. This is a safe space for one to bear all and feel free. We will talk about any and everything. There is no judgment on this podcast. Individuals and aliens from all walks of life and planets, please join us. See you soon. Greetings. I am Ms. BJ Martin, and this is Snails with No Shells. And without further ado, I would like to introduce my very special guest, the beautifully talented, amazing Ashley.
Hi.
Love Ashley. How are you?
I am awesome. How are you
Excellent.
doing?
I am great. Thank you for asking.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you for being a guest on my show.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited and a little nervous, not gonna lie. But I am just glad to be in this space.
Awesome. Okay, and I just want to let the audience know that today's topic is going to be based on domestic violence awareness, so they can know what they're getting into before we get started. So that's that. All right, moving right along. Ashley, where are you from?
I am from New Orleans, Louisiana.
All right, New Orleans. Okay. Wow, that's awesome. You're the first guest that I've had from somewhere else. Everybody else has been like, well, I had a guest from Cincinnati and I had a guest from Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, okay, New Orleans. So, how long have you been here?
I've been here a little over a year.
Okay. So how do you like it?
I love it out here.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot better than Dallas, in my opinion. And honestly, I love the landscaping. Like, everything just feels rooted here, and it's like not man-made. If so, I'm pretty sure it's not much. So I really, really love it.
Okay, so you were living in Dallas prior to moving to Georgia, Atlanta.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how long were you in Dallas?
Since 2015, I believe.
Okay, so you were there for a few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was there for a while.
Okay, I heard the weather is, well, I know I did hear it gets hot there too, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Dallas to Atlanta.
Yes.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ash. Do you have any? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, so I am a hairstylist. I am also a yoga instructor and a holistic practitioner. So I like to work with herbs and essential oils and natural remedies. But the cosmetology side of me, I do like the chemical aspect of it. But that's another story for another day.
Okay.
Yes, so basically that's really all to me. I am really big on spirituality and just being one with yourself, being at peace with yourself, and I like to spread that peace and positivity to everyone that I come across.
Oh, awesome. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it. Yes. So what made you so you're an entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
You do a couple of things. What made you get into hair?
Honestly, it was something that has always been around me. I grew up in a large family and most of them were women, and I was always, around women, but I've always felt different from my family as far as looks. And so I kind of felt like the black sheep. And I guess just me looking through my own smoky glass mirror and trying to figure out who I was and trying to, learning my own identity. And that kind of sparked my interest into like the hair and beauty world, because, I was always trying to redefine myself and find my looks and, just grow and expand just within myself. And I say that to say I've always done hair. I always would do like makeup and, even nails for like my grandmother, my great grandmother, my cousins. And then it grew to my friends. And then I found out that I can take cosmetology school in high school. So I went for it. I graduated, got my license before I graduated. And then from there, like the rest was history. And yoga kind of came into place once I, was just seeking healing, mostly emotional healing for myself. And it just led me to that. And ever since, like, I feel like I just add as I go, like I'm adding or enhancing these things that has always been within me.
Okay, I understand that. Awesome. So how long have you been doing hair?
I have been doing hair for about 10 years now.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So is the clientele, is it different in Dallas? Because did you do hair in Dallas?
I did. It is very different. Because I guess the different areas and every city, even if it's like a city 10-15 minutes down the road, like you'll notice they'll look for certain things or similar styles. So yes, I feel like Atlanta, it's you get a little bit more creativity. Like people are a little bit more open to going outside of the box. And not that you don't have that in Dallas, but in a particular area that I was in McKinney, Frisco. I moved around a bit, but the majority of the areas, it was more so corporate America, 9 to 5 and like family type clientele. So yeah, it could definitely be different, and it was. So it's very interesting to to put it together, I guess.
Okay, so your clientele, are they young, around your age? Are they older women?
So in Dallas, it was more so older, but I did have clients my age and a little bit younger. And so it really fluctuated, to be honest. But I could say my clientele has been between, or now it's about 25 to like 45.
Okay, the age group. Okay. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Yes, that's right. 45-year-old women are still popping. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. And so, you say you're a yoga instructor as well. Did you have to go to school as well for yoga?
I did. I took a 200 certification class, and I actually went through it twice. So with two different companies or instructors. So it was that was also a really good experience, and just to see from the two different perspectives in yoga, and it really taught me a lot on speaking and directing, leading. So it really gave me those skills as far as using my voice and also aligning, my mind, my body, and my spirit, which ultimately helps me in my day-to-day life, working with clients, whether that's one-on-one thing, a group thing, or like, teaching a class or just speaking out to a crowd.
Okay. So you're helping yourself at the same time while you're helping others.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
I get it. I do. Yes. Okay, so we're doing hair and yoga. So you said you're adding some more things. Are you doing anything else?
Currently, I have really just been working on expanding my hair business because, just with me having all these different things that I love to do, I can also so my main thing I try to work on is balance, right? Or not try, but the main thing that I do or focusing my energy on now is balance, because I know altogether it flows, but it's in how I do that, and also between the the daily or the physical and the emotional part of it. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
No problem.
I'm
That's
drawing a
no
blank
problem.
because I'm like, wait,
no problem. I got you. Okay, so what I've noticed is that I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, okay, hair and yoga. So you're really you're like of service to people. You like making people feel beautiful.
Yes.
Inside and out.
Exactly.
And that's awesome.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. They go hand in hand. Go hand in hand. I can see, the flow of that. Okay. That's dope. All right, Ash.
Thank you. Thank you for seeing the vision.
Yes. I can see that perfectly. Wow. Very therapeutic. Both of them. Very therapeutic and very helpful to one's mental health at the same time. The yoga and the hair, especially in dealing with you being a yoga instructor, you're a special kind of stylist. Not taking anything away from anybody else who styles hair or does hair, but we're talking specifically about you in the moment. Yeah, that's very special. That's a gift for sure. Yes. That's awesome. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay, another millennial. You're a millennial. Okay, I told y'all these millennials out here, are they getting it? I love it. I love the entrepreneurial spirits that you guys have. That's all right. That's great. Awesome. Okay, so I guess we're going to get to the next segment of the show. I'm gonna allow you to tell your story as far as you dealing with a domestic violence situation.
Okay.
So did you experience this while you were here, while you're in Dallas or New Orleans, or?
Okay. So yeah, I feel like domestic violence goes back before me. It goes into my lineage, and just with I'm not too much sure of my great grandmother, to be honest. Like, I haven't really tapped into that conversation, but I can say just learning through my own healing and even writing my own story. I have a book called Water Me and I'll Grow, and I kind of go into these things, and it's basically based off of my childhood, or at least I speak on it in the beginning just to let people know a little bit about myself. But ultimately, it stems from my childhood and just me, or my lineage, my heritage. I don't know the word to say. I don't know the word I'm trying to say, but basically,
just try your best and take your time.
Okay. Basically, it goes back to my family and their history in domestic violence, although it wasn't spoken about. And I feel like there was a lot of secrets or things that just was silent, and although it was silence, it doesn't mean that as a kid, even for myself, that it wasn't felt, it wasn't seen, it wasn't absorbed. So my physical abuse, or I should even say emotional abuse, started in Dallas when I was with my son's father. And it was a toxic relationship. We was toxic to each other, most importantly, but I can definitely say that he was a really big influence on just bringing that out. And we called, we got in the, police involved, and it got to the point where, they said that we both, they were going to take both of us to jail. And it wasn't until I literally, one day, again, the police was called. It was shortly, I believe, after my son's first birthday. And he basically, we called the police. I called the police, and the police basically, after all that, he ran away. That's what happened. He ran away after I called the police, because he was already, on probation, or they were, it was a case opened on him, or he did some time on it, and so he ran away. And the police basically was telling me in that moment that, there's other places you can go to. And so it was kind of on my mind. And basically the next day I called and I got into the shelter. And even in the midst of the shelter, it was things required for me to do, like counseling and parenting classes. And in these classes, or in the counseling session, it brought up a whole bunch of, or not a whole bunch, but it brought up a trauma. It basically, it was where my healing journey really began. And even in the classes, I became aware that I was being emotionally abused. I thought it was just the physical, that's why I'm there. But honestly, it was more emotional abuse than physical. And I didn't realize until, I had got myself out of the situation and really reach out to the help that was needed. And, some people, say oh, I'm scared of going in these situations or these, shelters. But honestly, at the time, I didn't really put too much thought into it. But I was blessed to be in a, one of the would be considered nicer shelters. But honestly, I still, people still stole from me. They still, clothes. They threw away, products that I had. And just because, they're being women who are hurt and they want to hurt other women, or whatever the case, and whatever it was that they were going through. So that relationship, pretty much, it definitely, it got better before it got worse before it got better. And, it was definitely in our younger days. And I feel like I've healed for the most part of those, situations. But when it comes to communication, that is a one thing that me and my son's father, are still kind of battling with. Like, has been much better, but I feel like the distance and me even moving to a whole nother city or a whole nother state has been really freeing for me, and it has helped to shape and mold my, my reality. But even where I'm at now, because it's about a little over a year now that that I've actually just moved from Dallas to Atlanta, and honestly, I was still running. I ran off with a friend, and we ended up getting married, and we basically got in, like, we basically like was moving too fast and was doing things all the wrong ways, but that triggered old things, old behaviors between the both of us, and that ended up being a abusive relationship. And again, it started out emotional, and it evolved into physical. And this guy, I felt, was like a sheep or a wolf in sheep clothing. Like, I didn't even expect any of it. I mean, I've had ideas or suggestions made about him, but it was never really confirmed until I was already in the situation. So that situation has probably been, honestly, the most worst, because it was done really manipulative. But honestly, they both were really manipulative. Now that I think about it, but yeah. I feel like I just kind of started rambling off. So
So yeah, I was saying that no, you're not rambling, not at all. You're telling your story. You're never rambling. Don't feel like you're rambling when you're telling your story. You're telling something very personal about you. This is very brave for you to even do this. So you're never rambling. Don't ever feel that way. Okay. Yeah, that's a like I say, you're very brave, and that story. I get it. I do understand. You were in one situation, and you just basically went with someone else who was in the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when you don't do the self work, when you don't heal, that's what usually happens. And when you're running away from yourself, you're going to run right into that same person.
Right.
That's what usually happens. And it sounds like you were just trying to be in a safe space. You cared about this person. You wanted to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably made you feel safe at first. Those people, sometimes people that you love, or you care about, you tell them about your past or things that have happened, and sometimes it just goes left. You're like, I told you that, and you're gonna do the same thing that I just experienced with this person.
Right.
But I do know for sure that we go through these things in our life to teach us lessons. We have to learn these lessons, and they will keep until you get it. So I truly understand. I too have dealt with a situation like that before. And before I even go there, I will say this. I was one to be very judgmental when it came to women in, domestic violence situations. I would always say, oh, if that was me, I wouldn't do this. Or if that was me, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't deal with that, blah, 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 or I'd be gone. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned from that is, don't speak on anything if you have not experienced it. You cannot say what you will or won't do if you have not been in that situation. Because just as sure as I was being judgmental, I finally got a chance to experience that type of situation. And it was not easy. It's not easy because first, really, you don't even know that you're being manipulated, or you don't even know what's going on. You know, especially if you're one of those people that has a big heart, like me, and like you sound like you have a very big heart. You don't even really know initially, so it starts off very. It does start off emotionally, and maybe some verbal. I've dealt with the emotional, the verbal, and the physical. I got slapped in the face, hair pulled, but they felt like because they weren't balled up my fist that it wasn't that bad. It was right, you know, but no, it was enough. To the point to where energetically I would be down for like 2 weeks. You know, I feel like my whole soul got snatched out my body. Because I couldn't believe that somebody I love would do something like this.
Right.
Or even be called a name, you know, from them. It was a very I learned a lot through that experience, a lot about myself. And so I understand exactly what you're going through. You know, maybe not all the same details, but it sounds like it's pretty much, pretty similar. So again, I commend you for even coming out and telling your story, because to be able to talk about it, it takes a lot of bravery and just confidence, and because you're going to change somebody's life. You're going to help so many people and change so many lives. So, wow. But you know what? I do want to say this. You said you went to a shelter for women and they were stealing your stuff. I didn't know they were doing all that in women's shelters. I wouldn't even be thinking about that. I'm thinking that everybody's going there, because they want to be in a safe space.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, girl.
And that's something you need to talk about, because people need to know this, because that's the truth,
Yeah, they need to know how to move. They need to know, how to keep their mental clear. And like, they need to know that this is not a game. This is not a sorority. Like, you get in, you get out, you get what you need, and you get focused, for yourself, and most importantly yourself. And if you have kids, because most of the time, these women have kids and multiple kids, and you got to get in and for them, you got to do it for them.
Wow. So how long did you stay in the shelter?
So it was like an emergency shelter. So it was 30 days. And again, like a lot of people, they didn't take it serious. So if you had things in the work, you can actually, I think I stayed in there for like 40 days because I was able to get an extension, and because I had an apartment lined up. And the crazy thing is, like, going into the shelter, like, my apartment prior to was already paid up 6 months in advance. So like, a part of me, like that ego part, was like, oh no, that's my house, like I put the money down for that, like, I'm not gonna leave. But then another part of me was just like, leave while you can get the help, because it may not be a next time. And so I just made that decision, and within 40 days I was able to get myself situated into a new place and living by myself. It was my first time really living by myself, like like in my own space. So it was a big deal for me, and it was a big starter to start to me really focusing in on my business and the things that I needed to do, which was learn. Like I needed to learn a lot. Like I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. I just knew that I like to do hair, and I've been doing hair for, people. And like you said, like I love to service people. I love helping people. I love making them feel good about themselves, because I know what it feels like, for people to make you feel not so good about yourself and about things that you can't control. You don't really have control over. So I try to do my best to, pour that into others, because it do take those few people in your life that, make things, make things seem real to you. They may come in your life and like teach you like, hey, it's not everyone out here is not out here to hurt you. They're not out here to reflect pain on you. That's not normal. So that's really where I get my motivation from.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, so you told me you dealt with we'll just go back just for a quick second. We talked about the physical abuse, the emotional, the verbal, because when someone says emotional abuse, like what does that mean to you? Because some people can be in an abuse situation right now and not really know it, or not think that they are.
Yeah,
people think because you're not physically being touched that you're not in an abusive relationship, and you can be.
Right. That's a really good question. Emotional abuse to me is like, for example, because I feel like I need to get this out, like, when like your partner or whoever they are to your boyfriend, husband, whatever, like when they tell you, when they're constantly talking down on you, or when they're like, instead of speaking life into you, like they're telling you negative things like, oh, you're stupid, or like, why are you putting that on, like you don't need to, like, put makeup on all the time, like you're shoot, I guess that's not a good, well, yeah, like basically when they're like just telling you, like when they're just downing you for no reason, like if they know that makeup is what makes you feel good and look beautiful, like there's ways to telling people like, hey, you're beautiful without makeup, but it's I guess it's the tone, it's the way that they say it, it's how they're saying it, it's when they say it. So it's like they're basically playing with your mind and your insecurities, instead of they're playing off of it, instead of like using that same power to make you feel good about those situations, and shining light on it, letting you know like, hey, I see this, and you may feel this way, but this is how I feel about it, and I feel I love you regardless, or I'm fond of you regardless. Like I love you, I love your mind, I love other things about you, and they make light and peace of that.
I do. I understand that. Instead of just saying, babe, you're beautiful with or without makeup, it's like they use it negatively. Because they don't want you to feel good about yourself.
Right. They want to keep you in a certain like mentality or vibration, so that they can keep you in that control.
Right. And the person that's doing that, they don't feel good about themselves.
Exactly.
So they definitely want you to, and they want to make it seem like they want to make it seem like they're all that. Like, oh, I got it together. You're the one that needs some help, and it's really them.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So ladies, and listeners, these are just a few things that your mate could possibly be saying or doing and you're not really aware what's happening. So I just want to talk about a couple of things so that you can be aware of how it's done, and to let you know the mindset of the victimizer, that person, where they are mentally. So,
or they'll even create drama in your life, or they'll separate you from your friends and your family, or they'll constantly make comments on why they don't like something or somebody, just to lure you away, from that person. They may even go to the extent of lying or over exaggerating a situation.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And this is so important because when you just being in the Atlanta culture, right? Like, you are aware that there are people out here who have the sex trafficking and human trafficking, and this is a big thing out here. And I feel like this is important to touch on, because usually these women who come from these broken homes or come from these toxic relationships, or just they were just exposed to it. They seen it growing up, so they don't really think it's not normal. And so you get a lot of these lost souls, in a sense, where they're easily lured and moved, and wanting to fit in, or whatever the case is. It's like, I think it's important for them to know that self-love, like self-care, and just learning and surrounding yourself with positive people who are doing better than them, or people who are on the same who's wanting to better themselves as well, so that they are in that space and constantly being reminded and pushed, and being held accountable to move past what you think because there is a lot of women on the flip opposite side of that who are suffering right now, who are that inward self-conflicting pain has now manifested into others inflicting pain on them. And it's some people dangerous situations. So it's better, it's easier to move and learn through the pain now than it's better now than sorry later.
Right. And yeah, I agree with that. And I was going to say too, to go through something like that, it's like it's not fair, and it's like it can be a terrible thing, but you learned a lot from it, and it happened to you, at a young age. And so now you're going through you're doing your self-work, your self-healing, and that's good, because you won't be, in your 40s and 50s trying to get it together, or bring any more children into the world, and you still, still dealing with, like you said, that inner conflict. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I think that's beautiful, and I'm glad that you're speaking out, because you're telling me some stuff, some things that I didn't know, as far as the human, trafficking and all that. You've added some awareness for me when it comes to that. So again, thank you. And I am glad that you decided to come on my podcast and just, share your story and your thoughts and all that good stuff. You have beautiful energy.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. Thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome. So, what one thing, well, no, let's do this first. I need people to be able to find you. So what are your social media handles and all that good stuff?
Okay, so my hair Instagram is at Crowns Enchanted, and my yoga page, if anyone's more so on the physical healing, that is awaken your _flow. So awaken your _flow. And on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, I'm still in the works of rebuilding that, because I actually rebranded my business. I renamed it and everything, so it's all gonna be Crowns Enchanted.
Okay.
So you'll be able to catch me basically on all social media platforms under those names.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Very good. Very good. And okay. And so what is like one thing or a message that you would like to put out there?
My one message would be to take care of yourself inwardly and outwardly, just like a flower. You want to nourish yourself from the roots to the sky, literally, because the sky's the limit, and your grounds, your roots are infinite as well, if that makes sense. I'm kind of referencing as above, so below, but basically just know that you are light within, and just like a flower, like you are here to shine and to unfold into the beautiful blossoming flower that you are, whatever that may look like, because we all have different patterns and textures and things about ourselves and our lives that makes us uniquely you. So as long as you are tapping in to see that for yourself, and that's all you need in this world, literally, is to have that connection with yourself, that connection with source, and you will never lack for anything.
Wow. That was an amazingly beautiful message. Thank you for that.
Thank you
for that. And I do know that you are going to do some amazing things for many women in the world. I can feel it. It's going to be great. Your journey is going to be amazing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this show up again. I would like to say thank you to Ashley. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope that just thousands of people can hear it so that we can change some lives, So thank you again. And before I go, I would like to say thank you, listeners, for taking the time to listen to my podcast. We appreciate you. And just remember, just like the sun, you are necessary.